together, and we'll start the walk nice and early in the morning. Once we get to the top, it's just a really good feeling to watch the sunrise and just talk about life. The view's just absolutely amazing. The beach, all the different houses, the university. Watching all that happen, it kind of gives you a perspective of everything, of how the world works.
Degree is definitely not a piece of paper, it's a whole experience. Obviously educational aspects and just really setting you up for life. Allowing you to meet a variety of people, really pushing your limits, boundaries, and pushing your perspectives and what you think about the world.
I'm developing a ocean-faring vessel wave-induced energy conversion device. It will store the energy of the boat as it rolls along a wave.
We've been fortunate at the University of Wollongong to be able to build a research group with global credibility. What's brought them here are these incredible world-class facilities that we've created over the last few years. We have the ability in this integrated research facility to undertake very fundamental research and new discoveries. We've developed three-dimensional printers that can extrude and create three-dimensional scaffolds. We've even developed inks that will facilitate the printing of living cells for use in the muscle and nerve regeneration programs.
It's made me more equipped when I go out into real life. You actually know what's going on, you know how things work now, you know what's about to come at you. You're not going to just be put in the deep end.
I've seen it happen so many times, hundreds of times in my 20-odd years, and I never get bored watching that exciting process, seeing young people transform themselves into individuals that are really willing to take on big challenges, and they're capable of doing it.
It's pushed my limits in terms of the way I perceive things. In classes we do group work, and you hear so many different viewpoints, and you go, oh, okay, it's really interesting. And I would never have thought like that. And it just really pushes you to become a lot more open-minded.
We're doing things here at UOW that are changing the world. So don't think that you can't change the world. But that requires a lot of hard work. It requires passion, and it requires commitment. And it requires that passion and commitment sometimes over very sustained periods. So you must be a very determined person with that passion and commitment, and you can make a difference.
Hi everyone, welcome to the UIW live chat on careers. My name is Patrick and I'm the school recruitment and communications coordinator for the university, and I'd just like to introduce the panel here. We've got Mickey Neal, who's a careers counsellor at the UIW careers office, and also Darren Peterson, who's an admissions advisor for the University of Wollongong as well. So Mickey, did you quickly want to talk about what the careers office does for UIW students?
Yep. So we do career counselling. If you're not sure what sort of degree you might want to be doing, or you're not sure what majors or what sort of work that degree might lead to. But we also we've got lots of resources like Career Hub, which advertises lots of jobs. We've got Careers Expos. One of the big things when students are studying, it's like, what am I going to do at the end of it? So we have Careers Expos where employers come and you can talk to the employers and find out what sort of jobs are available. And we've also got workshops assisting students with resume writing and interview skills. Darren's been with interview skills, and lots of online resources. The Edge, going global if you're looking for work overseas. Where grads go, looking at where other graduates from UOW, what they've studied, and that says what jobs they've got with what employers, and that can really help as well. So those resources are good. So there's lots of sort of ways. We've also got in the faculties, and each of the faculties a career counsellor or a career consultant, so they can actually work directly knowing what's available in the faculty to support those students as well. Yeah.
And so, Darren, do you just want to talk about quickly? Darren's a student at the university as well, but you
Yes.
also work here casually. So, do you want to talk about what you do as far as being an admissions advisor?
Yeah, sure. So I was a student here, studied law, and as an admissions advisor, we look at helping students get into university, tell both international and domestic students about the process for university, and we talk to them about what they want to do and what courses are available and the admissions requirements for those courses. And you probably, if you've ever emailed Univas, have spoken to me or one of my colleagues. Yeah.
Cool. So, I might kick off just to start. We've got a lot of different talking points, but we can be guided by your questions, guys, if you ask questions online. So, the first one was from Caitlin, who's talking about subject selections for year 11 and 12. So the first thing is Caitlin doesn't know what she wants to do, which is totally fine, Caitlin. We're going to assume you're in year 10 or year 9 or year 10. So talking about maths especially, so I guess, Darren, you're closest to that age group.
Yep.
Do you still have to talk about, I guess, the pros and cons of whether you should do maths or not maths, and sort of following your passions, I suppose?
I guess it will depend firstly on what you think you might want to do at university, because not doing maths can limit you in terms of your choices and when you're here. And while it's definitely possible to catch up, it's probably easier for you in terms of when you start studying at university. If you want to do primary education or engineering or something else that's maths heavy, definitely to do maths at high school. But the most important thing is to study something that you enjoy. In terms of how you'll do at the end of year 12, you do a lot better if you enjoy the subjects. You'll do a lot better in the HSC if you're passionate about what you're studying and you find study enjoyable for the subjects you are doing. But definitely have a look at the courses you want to do at university, see if they recommend that you do maths, and let that help guide you as well as your own passion for the subject.
Yeah, and I think we always say if you do what you love, then you'll love what you do and you'll do better. And intuitively, that's where you're going to end up anyway, I suppose. So I hated maths years ago when I did the HSC. I didn't like maths, but I did it because I didn't want to limit myself too much. And I ended up doing sociology as my degree, and there was surprisingly a lot of maths within that degree, because we would do, go out and do surveys, for instance, about different things, but we'd have to come back and analyse results. So there's a surprising amount of maths that you want to do. And I know Laura here has said that if you want to do primary education, maths is recommended. Caitlin, if you're in year 10, by the time you come to uni, maths will be compulsory for teaching. So that sort of thing you'll just have to look at, do a little bit of research and see what criteria your degree that you're looking at doing needs, so that can give you a better informed decision.
In terms of UOW, if you want to look at whether or not maths is recommended for the degree you're looking at, go onto our course finder. You can use keywords to look at the different courses that are available, and the second tab along tells you the requirements if you're an Australian citizen, and so you can then look at whether or not maths is recommended for year 12.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I hope that answers your question, Caitlin, and if it doesn't, just ask us again on the chat log, because we can see it here in front of us if you've got any questions. So I guess the next thing we'll talk about, we've sort of talked about choosing the right subjects at school. Did you have anything to add to that, Mickey, as far as being, from a careers point of view?
No, I think that thing about keeping it broad if you can, so that it means that you meet the entry criteria. And I really like your idea about, staying with what your interests are and what you're good at, because that, you never know how jobs are going to pan out.
No.
So if you can follow what it is that you're good at, and you develop those skills in whatever way, those skills will be developed almost in whatever you do.
And to also follow your passions as well is our big thing, because Nico, for example, who's sitting behind the camera, Nico's job, for instance, didn't exist in 2010, for example, there was no need for a digital marketing person, for example, or a Facebook, where we spend a lot of our day talking to students on Facebook. That certainly didn't exist even 3 years ago. So if there is something you're really passionate, stay with it, and you can start making your own jobs, I suppose, in the future as well.
And if you do make subject choices and then you end up changing your mind by the end of year 12 as to what you want to do, say you don't do science because you think you want to go into arts or sociology or something like that, and then you decide, no, I want to do nutrition. You can do bridging courses here to then pick up your knowledge before you start. So there are always ways around it. Just make sure that whatever you do think you want to do has no required subjects, but there are very few of those. It's mainly just English.
Yeah.
And I think what's often hard for people is those who are multi-talented, who can do arts and can do sciences and and they've got to make decisions.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, how do you make the decision?
That's right, and I guess at
Yeah.
UIW we offer double degrees as well for those students.
cool.
So Rochelle, for example, who was a student who she's since graduated, but she was very interested in creative arts, particularly drawing, but she was also really good at science, and she literally couldn't decide between the two. So she did the both as a double degree. So she
Yeah.
followed her passions, and
Yep.
so now she hopes to get into advocacy work. So she's using the creative, writing and design, that sort of stuff, and her scientific knowledge, so that now she can go in and to write publications, for deforestation and that sort of stuff. That was where her passions were, so she's followed that
Very
and
cool.
that sort of thing as well. Yeah, so there's lots that
So
you
the
can
double
do with
degree is
that
a
sort
good
of
idea.
degree. Yeah, so with the double degrees, you can jump in, but it doesn't suggest that you're here for double the amount of time. The best way, I guess, is that each subject has its core subjects, or each degree has core subjects with electives on the sides,
Yep.
and we sort of shave off the electives of the 2 degrees, so you can get 2 degrees, but in less time. Is that the best
Yeah,
way?
that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. So you do the core subjects for both degrees. You'll have a few electives, but you just won't have to do as many electives as students doing the single degrees would do. And generally speaking, double degrees range from 4 to 5 years depending on what it is, whereas otherwise it would be 6 or more years. So you do get it done in a really quick time, and you get kind of the best of both worlds in terms of if you're not sure or you want a broad-based knowledge in 2 different fields, double degrees are a really good option.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I just ask a
Of course.
question, not around the double degree, but around double majors?
Yep,
How's that work?
that's also possible. So, for example,
say
you
what
can
it
do a double major is basically where you do 1 degree but you take 2 majors. So you might want to do commerce and do PR and marketing, or you might want to do finance and business law. And you can get a broad knowledge within the 1 degree by doing more than 1 major. Or you can talk to the faculties and do something flexible, like you could do a Bachelor of Arts in Politics and also take an economics major from commerce, but still under your arts degree if you don't want to do the double degree. So double majors are an option. You can do a major and minor. So people would do, a Bachelor of Science in Biology and do a Spanish minor or something like that. So there are all possibilities in terms of tailoring the degree to what you want to do. You just need to kind of talk to the people that are around and see if it's possible.
Yeah, and important to talk to the people just to
That's
make
right.
sure that you're in the subjects that keep those doors open.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've heard it a lot before. We get questions a lot all the time, and I think a big challenge is to work out what's the right question to ask. And so when you do start asking questions of people like us with the university careers markets, because that's why we put on this chat, because we know students are going to careers markets. We've heard all the questions before. There's no such thing as a dull question. So use us all as tools and get the books and that sort of thing.
And we're here at Uni Advice to answer your questions, so you can find our contact details on the UAW website. And you can just call us up after school, or you can send us an email or go to our Facebook page. And just ask whatever question that you have, even if you think it might be silly. We're here to help, particularly when it's about university study. It's what we're passionate about here, so definitely ask us anything that you have.
Definitely. Now, I might just sort of change gears a bit, because we've got a couple of talking points before. We've got some questions I can see on the chat log. But one thing that we do get asked about is, I guess, the advantages of doing a university course. I mean, there's the university lifestyle that you get while doing the degree, but I guess you guys are here to talk about the end game. But one thing is the earning potential of a university graduate. Are you able to talk a bit about that, Nikki?
Well, a little bit about the earning potential. Like, if you've got a degree, there's a thing here called, I don't know if you can see that, Nico, is that all right? Called Where Grads Go, and you'll find it on the Graduate Opportunities website. But in there, it's got the graduate salaries, so what most students can expect to earn from different degrees. And mostly they're around about, the low 50s going out as a graduate. If you compared that to someone without a degree, it would be a while before they'd be getting into the 50,000 to start. Mind you, you've spent 3 or 4 years studying.
Yeah,
But
you know that,
I think but that's the starting salary. So then they're going to go up from that. I think the advantage of doing the degree in terms of salary is that you don't reach that glass ceiling, not only in terms of income, but in terms of being able to do what you're interested in. That the university adds to that. Is that sort of what you
Yes,
meant?
definitely, yeah. And I guess, and you'd probably agree, Darryl, we would all agree that once you're into university, so if you do come in and do an arts degree, Laura, which we'll talk about in a minute, you're certainly that's not the end of it. You're not just going to graduate with your arts degree. If you do come in, you might change your mind. We find about 20% of university students do change their mind throughout their degree. And again, we've got staff dedicated to help you if you do I know, for instance, I had a friend who started a nursing degree, and she did a degree for about a year and then decided that it wasn't for her, and then she changed into the physical education degree as well. And that took her a little bit longer, but it was really what she wanted to do, and she'd made up her mind so that, you know, we could facilitate that for her.
And I guess that's the important thing to understand. If you're not sure what you want to do, you kind of have a direction. Once you're at university, you're not stuck. It is flexible. You can choose your kind of course of study within your degree, provided it's a little bit flexible in terms of your elective subjects, but you can also transfer between faculties, and there are people here at the university that can help you do that. Generally speaking, you just have to study for 6 months or 1 year, depending on what degree you want to transfer into, but it's definitely possible to either pick up a second degree if you're like, yeah, I want to do a double degree now, or if you want to transfer between faculties. It's always possible, and there are people here that can help you do that. And it's a really simple process. It's one form, and you kind of fill it in, get it signed and handed, and that's it. And that's all it requires.
Yeah, and so the careers of service at the University of Wollongong, I know that it's free careers advice, isn't it, for current students once you're here, and for 2 years afterwards, isn't it?
Yes, once you've left with 2 years to support getting into work.
And there's also different workshops that you offer as far as...
There's the workshops around how to write a resume, how to do interview skills, graduate opportunities, you know, how to apply for those graduate opportunities, and around creative job search, because 80% of jobs are not even advertised. So how do you find out about those jobs? And what they talk about now is that most students are really, rather than finding a job, they're actually creating jobs.
Yes. Yep.
So what is it that you can do while you're studying to create opportunities when you finish? So there's all of that as well.
Yeah. So I might answer some of these questions first, and then we might go into different things, because obviously we know that the degree is important, but it's all that extra stuff too that I want to talk about, like communication we were talking about before, how that's really important. So I'm going to... Oh, I didn't break the iPad. So Laura is asking, are arts degrees useful, and that she's worried that she won't get a job from an arts degree. And she's interested mostly in sociology, which was my major as well when I studied. Will the degree complement social or community or welfare work? Well, the answer is yes, and we also, from next year, Laura, will be the first year that we are launching a Bachelor of Social Science and also a Bachelor of Social Work that you can look at as well, because it looks like you're interested in that welfare sort of thing, so both or either of those degrees might be right up your alley. But I'll just talk about arts degrees first. I guess I did a Bachelor of Social Science, so it was very much like an arts degree. But I guess I learned a lot of generic skills. So the reason I chose an arts degree was because it was really flexible. So I could choose, my major was sociology, so that was the stream I really stuck to. But I was able to do some science, biology subjects, and I also did a couple of law electives and also marketing. So I could be really and choose from all that. I sort of kept that, and it was never boring, and I learned a lot of different skills. And I think that was the big thing. I learned a lot of skills as far as how to write things, because a big part of my job now is helping write publications, but also proofreading the publications as well. And I need to be able to change my mode of communications from the course directory, then to talking on Facebook, then talking like this. But then I might go to a parents' evening, and then I might go to when I go to careers markets as far away as Kuala Lumpur, I need to be able to talk in different ways. So I got a lot of skills from the arts degree. So if anything, doing an arts degree, I think, made me and other students really employable, because you've got that vast array of skills, and especially when it's related to communications. So did you have any? I mean, I know you're doing a very specific, or you've done a very specific degree, I suppose. Yeah,
well, I did law and international studies. So international studies is within our Faculty of Law, Humanities and the Arts. And so it's very much related to a Bachelor of Arts. And I guess the most important thing from that was that I got to do a language, and I got to learn about politics and sociology and culture and a whole range of things that I wouldn't have gotten just from doing a single degree. And it helps you in terms of your ability to be flexible, your ability to approach different things and think critically in a way that other degrees might not assist you in doing. So I definitely think there's a lot of value in arts, and there's a lot of places you can go, particularly if you do sociology, or if you try different things, you can go into different fields. But also if you want to go on and do research, you might find you get really passionate about that. So there are a lot of opportunities that can come from doing such a general and broad degree.
And it's not just when you come to UOW, it's not necessarily, it's not just the degree that you'll be sitting down doing all the time. There's different internships and things that you could do. So I might skip to that now if you want.
Can I just say that in terms of a BA, I think we get lots of people coming to us and saying, I'm doing a BA, but I don't know what sort of work I can do. And I think what they don't realise is they don't realise the number of the skills that they're gaining doing the BA. And I think it might not be a skill that leads to a direct profession, I mean, a qualification that leads
not like
to
a
direct
teaching
profession.
degree or something.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like law,
Yep.
but and like engineering. But it actually means that you meet the entry criteria for a lot more jobs.
That's right.
You know, a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
jobs require a degree,
Mhm.
and if you've got an arts degree and you've got all those skills that they require, then which is around communication often
Yep.
and research and
I was
analysing
going to say research
information.
as well,
and-
yeah, that's a good one.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it means that you're sort of studying towards something that's going to allow you a more breadth
Mm.
of choice, and also I think, you know, following what you really enjoy doing. Who knows where that's going to take you? I bet you never thought that was
No,
going to take
never
you
thought.
to
No, I had a
where you're
very different version of events
Yeah.
in my mind, but I was,
Yeah.
you know, now I love my job, and I'm the product, I think, of being really open to opportunities as well, and
Mm.
you know, really accepting help. So I'm also the product of having really good managers
Yeah.
at work,
Mm.
you know, who are like mentors to me, and sort of, and I think a big thing, Laura and Jess and everyone asking questions that we'll get to, is you just have to be really upfront. You've got to know where your strengths are as
Yeah.
well, because you will get asked that.
Yeah.
You know, what are your strengths? And that can be sometimes a really confronting question, I think, as well. And you've really got to know that, and that will come as well. I mean, you know, I'm in my 30s now, so I can say that. But someone who's 16, 17, that is a big question, I think, to sort of know where you expect to be when you're in your 30s. So don't worry about, you know, a lot of you are saying, I don't know what I want to do, and is that wrong? It's certainly nothing. That's fine.
And I also think what Pat was going to start saying before was that you need to supplement your studies regardless of what you choose to do with internships or going on exchange. And if you do arts, you have more opportunity to go on exchange than you would in perhaps other degrees and experience different universities and pick more subjects, because a lot more will count if you do it overseas. And also the arts faculty here or the arts school has internships available and an internship subject that you can do. So it's definitely good no matter what you do to supplement, and arts gives you that opportunity to supplement your degree.
Yeah. So we'll go on to now to something more specific. Dean is looking at doing health science next year at UOW, but he hasn't done any science subjects, but he does do PDH.
Yep.
So I'm going to throw this to you and Darren, so get ready.
Yeah, sure.
Are there courses or different ways that Dean can catch up, or any student who hasn't done science courses but does want to come in and do a science course?
Yeah, of course. So in February every year we run bridging courses here at the university. We run them in biology, chemistry, physics, and that's it. And you can also do a different version of maths if you haven't done maths before. So yeah, we would definitely recommend that you do the biology subject and possibly the chemistry, depending on what health science degree you want to get into. If you want to get into nutrition, we would definitely recommend the chemistry one. But in the event that you do need to do the bridging course, we'll actually contact you if you have an offer and say, we think it's not necessary, but we think it'll be good for you to do this course if you haven't done it before. And you can apply in February before you start studying in March. Usually they go from 1 to 2 weeks, and you'll catch up on all that knowledge you may not have received in your final 2 years of study because you haven't done biology or chemistry, and then be ready to start your degree and have all the knowledge that everyone else will have. Yeah.
That's fine. So I think Laura was next. Yes, Laura has asked, what's the difference, and I'll throw this to you again, Darren.
Yeah, sure.
What's the difference between doing a double and single major in arts, and if she does do a double major, will it take her longer?
Sure. So a double major is basically where, so a student doing a single major might do a Bachelor of Arts in Politics, a student doing a double major might do a Bachelor of Arts in Politics and French, or Politics and History, or something like that. So it basically is where you do enough subjects that you get 2 majors. To do a major here, you need to do, in arts at least, you need to do 10 subjects within that field. So you do 10 politics subjects to get a politics major, you do 10 history subjects to do a history major. It won't necessarily take you long to do a double major. When you graduate, you basically get a Bachelor of Arts with, you know, politics and French on your degree, or politics and whatever you choose to do. It may take you longer depending on how your study pans out and how you plan the subjects you want to do, but not necessarily. You can do it within the same period of time. Particularly here we do offer subjects over the summer sessions sometimes and things like that, so you might want to choose that to quicken the pace of your degree. All you need to do is, essentially, when you come to enrolment day here at the university, we have academic advisors here who will talk to you about the majors that you want to do regardless of what degree you choose, and you can say to them, I was thinking about doing a double major in these 2 areas, and they'll tell you how to pick your subjects, and they'll guide you about how to plan it so that you do graduate on time or only with a little bit extra time.
And would you agree sometimes it happens intuitively without much planning? You'll end up with a major just because that's where your interests
Yeah, of
lie.
course. So you don't need to tell people, you don't need to choose your major as soon as you start studying. And you might, pick a couple of subjects in your first year and then realize that you're actually halfway towards getting a major anyway. And so you decide to finish the last 5 subjects that you have to do, and then you'll get a major in that field that you didn't think you would get a major in, or you didn't plan it. So that's definitely a possibility. And it's good to keep in contact with the faculty, and they're really helpful, and they can help you pick different subjects and things like that. So it's definitely possible.
And that would be good because at university, UIW, I mean, we're certainly not a small university, but we're small enough that you can get to know people like us and Mick as well in the careers office and drop into the careers office. I mean, obviously they have to make an appointment, wouldn't they?
They can.
But it's certainly...
There are people at reception and administrators who know a fair bit of information as well, who can give you information.
And you I'm sure you get to know some of the students who come in, and their strength can help them. And it's the same with the academics as well, who will get to know you and help you and answer your questions, when you pass them in corridors or whatever. So we're small enough that you can start having that relationship with the staff.
And what's the story about the minor?
Well, a minor is essentially where you take a less amount of subjects. I think it's about 6, but it might be a little bit less, and you can then minor in a particular thing. So if you do 2 years of a language subject plus 1 extra subject on top, you can minor in that language. And basically on your degree you'll have a minor on your test and your transcript that says you've done enough subjects to constitute a minor in that. So definitely a lot of students will realise towards the end when they're ready to graduate that they do have enough subjects for a major and a minor and things like that, and they don't plan to do it, it kind of just works out that way. So it's definitely possible to major in more than one subject, and definitely possible to change your major. You might start out in a Bachelor of Commerce in marketing and then decide you want to do PR, and it's perfectly fine to change, and you can usually change with enough time to finish within the 3 years allotted, but you can take a little bit of extra time if you need it.
Cool.
And one of the things that I've found is students might start studying and then discover a new subject they didn't even know existed, or they're just doing it because it was part of a core subject, but they actually like it a lot more than they even thought they would, and more than the subject that they thought they were going to major in. So when you're studying, it's like be open to things that excite you and interest you and ideas, because that's sort of another avenue that gives an indicator of where you might like to work as well.
And that's the great thing about university, is that it is flexible. So you don't need to come in on the first day and know that you want to do a particular degree or know that you want to do a particular major. There's chances for you to change and explore different subjects and try new things. And there's also chances for you to change if you decide that you want to go off in a different direction because you've done a subject, a biology subject under your arts degree that you loved, and now you want to be a scientist. That's possible here.
So we'll just go in, and we'll talk about your experience in a minute, Dave.
Yeah, sure.
Jess has asked a question. So she's doing an arts degree at uni. She's not happy with the arts, degree, it looks like, which is fine. Interested in a career in social work, and are there any degrees at uni that are related to a career in social work? So this next year, Jess will be launching the Bachelor of Social Work at UIW. It will be the first time, so next year's cohort will be the first cohort that we're taking. We're really excited about it. It's got a lot of things. So it's available here at the Wollongong campus and also in the Shoalhaven campus. It involves there's going to be a lot of practical work experience that the students have to do. So the Faculty of Social Sciences are really busy at the moment talking to, industry partners. Places like hospitals, youth hostels. I know jails are also on board as far as taking in some of our prac students for social work. So it's really exciting for that. So if you do have any questions about the Bachelor of Social Work, just contact you can contact us. And the phone number is, if you've got a pen, is 1300 367 869, and that will bring you through to the team that Darren works for, and they can either talk to you further about it, or you can contact the Faculty of Social Science or the faculty that houses the social work degree. So it's good that and that's, I guess, a lot of students will go through that journey of doing one thing and then finding out, it's actually another path that they want to take.
And I guess if I was working with Jess, I'd be saying go and have a chat to you to ask whether, or it might not be to you, it might be just Students Central, around can I swap across to the Bachelor of Social Sciences for the next semester, for the semester coming up, and do some subjects that will then be credited towards the Bachelor of Social Work. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's a
But
conversation.
to find out that option
Yeah,
so you can get
definitely
started
have.
as soon as you want
and
to.
at least, to get started.
And also, would there be some credit for the subjects that I've already done? Is there room for electives in the Bachelor of Social Work? There might not be, but it's to find that information out.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, so the faculty's still working through some of that stuff in terms
Yes.
of how the course will be structured. So we might not have all the answers just yet, but by the time applications come in for September, which is when the applications are due for next year, we'll have all that information for you. But if not, if you want to call us now or email us or whatever you want to do and to get into contact with us, we'll give you as much information we have, and if not, direct you to the faculty directly, and they'll be able to give you more information that they have on hand for you.
And it is good to have that chat because at least then, when we do get all the information,
Yep.
we're like, right, contact people like Jess who did show an interest and
Yep.
start that dialogue going.
Cool.
So Caitlin has said that she's got no idea what she wants to do, which again is completely fine. She has to choose the 10 subjects by the 20th of this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she's considering advanced English, studies of religion, modern history, visual arts, biology, and the last one will be maths, strength in English, arts, and sciences. So look, I mean, that sounds a good broad choice that she's done. And just my only thing would be, if you're, if they're the subjects that you like, I mean, I'm not assuming you like all your subjects, no one does, but again, choose what you're good at because that's usually what you enjoy, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Yeah.
She's got the maths in there?
Yeah, she has.
She's got the maths, yeah. So I would say, the last one will be math, and even if it is something like general maths, then that's good because I do think that maths does tend to not open a lot of doors, but it certainly won't sort of close any doors at all.
And because you don't know what you want to do, you've given yourself a broad base. You might decide that you really like biology and come and do science at university, or you might really like visual arts and go into creative arts. So you've given yourself a really broad base to then figure out what you want to do at university and get some skills in beforehand, so you'll really enjoy studying while you're here. So it sounds like you picked a good range of subjects.
I agree. So the next one comes from Erin. She's currently involved in a Bachelor of Business at uni, but the course isn't for her, which again is fine. So she's deferred for this year, I assume, Erin. And now she's wondering how you go about transferring faculties altogether, so out of the Faculty of Business and into somewhere like the Faculty of Science, Medicine and Health, because she's looking at something like studying nursing. So would that be just a brand new application, Darren?
Yeah, I would definitely say, Aaron, get into contact with Uni Advice as soon as you can, and we can talk you through the process. So I'll give you our number again. It's 1300 367 869. We close at 5 o'clock today, so you can even call now if you like. And basically, they can talk you through the process of how to transfer your degrees. Because you've deferred, you're not able to do a transfer because you have to have at least done 4 subjects in one semester to transfer. But you're more than welcome to apply for a new degree, and we can talk you through that application process. If you're considering something in science, you can even start next semester if you want to get studying now. But definitely give Uni Advice a call. We can look up your student number and talk you through the process in terms of what you need to do. But the best thing to do would be call us for that.
And again, so she's looking at nursing?
Yes.
So
nursing, yes, or something with science.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, with that, if you're looking, because you haven't, it sounds like you haven't done any subjects yet, that you've just deferred before you've started, or just kind of a few weeks in, because if you haven't finished subjects, you'll have to just make a new application, but that's fine. You can do it online on our website, and we can talk you through that. So it's not an issue.
Yeah. So we've got a team of 5 who are dedicated to helping, students who are making direct applications, so you can ring, and Darren's part of that team. And you sort of get assigned a case manager, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you get to know who's looking after your application and will take you through that and help you. So the next one's from Freya. No, I'll go for Brooke. Looking at pathways to get into medicine, and thinks that the health and medicine science course would be the perfect undergraduate degree, which probably would. And what kind of marks should she be achieving in the courses if you wanted to succeed in getting an early entry application? So I guess the first one, off the top of my head, Brooke, I'm not entirely sure what there are criteria that we will set for your early entry application, and they'll be on the website next week, which is if you just go to the University Wollongong site and then follow the links to the early admission. When we do list the criteria, though, they're not there to exclude anyone from applying. So we put them there so that if you are going to apply for the Bachelor of Health Science, for example, we put the criteria there so you know what you should have been achieving if you want to do well in that degree. So we don't want to set you up to fail, is essentially why we publish the criteria. So have a look next week, and all the criteria there will be listed. And again, if you don't meet that criteria, it doesn't mean you can't apply. It just means that you might have to work, a little bit harder to get your head around some of the subjects. And the other thing to remember for medicine, so our medical school is a postgraduate school, and you don't have to do a medicine or even a science course in your undergraduate degree to get into medicine in postgrad. It could be anything. So it could be, I know we're looking at the medical school, I think. There are engineers who are in there who did really, they basically, you have to do an undergraduate degree and you have to get a credit average. So that would come back to do the degree that you really enjoy and that you really love. In most cases, people who want to be a doctor are probably going to do a science health-based degree, but you certainly don't have to. So you do that, you need to get at least a credit average. Then you make your application to the medical school. You have to sit what's called the GAMSAT exam, which is the exam to get into postgraduate medical schools. And then then there's sort of a shortlisting process that's ongoing. And then if you get to the point, then the medical school will invite you to go for an interview with them, and that's how they assess. That's a very simple explanation of how to get. Do you have anything to add to that?
The only thing I would reiterate is you don't need to do a science degree at university to get into medicine. You could be doing an arts degree or a law degree or a creative arts degree and decide kind of partway through that medicine is where you want to go. It's definitely possible. Obviously it might be easier once you're in the medicine degree to have a science background, but it's definitely not required. And the main thing for you to do is excel in your undergraduate degree, get a grade point average above 5, and also kind of volunteer as much as you can during your degree, get as much experience, because part of it is based on an interview and they want to see what you're like as a person. We don't just take students, kind of the top students, we take students who will be really good as doctors, and that's kind of what they look for, who's going to be a great doctor. So do as much as you can throughout your degree, as well as study as hard as you can.
And that's something we were talking about before, that employers, I mean, obviously you need your undergraduate degree, but employers are also very focused on things like communication skills and leadership and things like that.
They talk about the graduate qualities that employers are looking for, and communication skills is one of the top ones, and those interpersonal skills and knowing your subject matter, problem solving, using your initiative, all of those sort of things, and teamwork. But I think employers are really looking for people who are willing to get involved in extracurricular activity, in the community, in voluntary work, all of those sort of things. And when you're looking at competing, which you are looking at when you're going in for medicine, and you are looking at when you're going for a job, anything that adds value, if you can get involved, and they're wanting people who are proactive and active. So, and I think the other thing about medicine that I would think, and I think everybody knows it is very competitive. So if you do the degree that you are really interested in, rather than a degree that you think is going to help you get in, so long as you make sure that you do as well as you can do, then you've got your plan B already in line.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why actually we don't offer a pre-med degree as such, because we want to make sure, if you do we would hate for you to do a pre-med degree but change your mind or not get into medical or something and then be left with, a pre-med degree without any end. So that's why we don't have one. We encourage you to do what it is you really like. So that that will give you the best chance to get into medicine, or if you change your mind, then you've at least got a career path that you can continue on as well. So Freya Rose, I think I'm just looking to see who's next to make sure I don't skip anyone. Yes, Freya Rose is in year 10, and she too has to pick her subjects for years 11 and 12. So she's thinking of doing English and history as the main subjects because you enjoy them, and that makes sense because, like we said, if you enjoy them, you'll excel in them. So which university courses or degrees will correspond well with these subjects? Because she's thinking of doing journalism. So that sounds perfect. The
only requirement for journalism is, it's not required, but it's assumed you'll do advanced English. So the most important thing for you to do is advanced English. After that, just pick the subjects you really enjoy, because that's what's going to make you excel in the HSC, get the best ATAR you can, and then have the best possible choice in terms of what you apply for once you go to apply for universities.
And journalism is a really exciting place at the moment, I suppose, because everything's changing as far as newspapers are really becoming a thing of the past, and iPads are changing, but the way that journalists have to write now is changing, and they can write articles, but they also have to tweet as well. So the way that people communicate. So journalism is a really exciting place.
And I'm thinking another option to do that would be Bachelor of Media and Communications with journalism as a major.
So definitely check that out. Go on the course finder and type in journalism, because you'll see we do have communication and media studies degree where you can do journalism, and it is about digital media and communicating through different mediums and kind of the new age type of journalism that's coming to the fore now. So So good luck.
So this next one, a non did biology for the HSC. Will that increase my chances of being accepted into the course if my ATAR isn't at the course requirement?
Oh, I think that was related, Pat, to Erin's question above. So her previous.
Oh, so the rest for Erin's question.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I don't quite follow it there.
Oh, I see. So it's because Erin wants to transfer from business to health, but because she did biology in the HSC, so would that help her application?
Generally speaking, they'll only consider your ATAR in terms of when you apply. Mostly they'll look at your ATAR and choose you based on that. However, it can help if you've got a good mark in a particular subject, because you'll be applying directly, which is different for all the students applying through UAC. If you're applying through UAC, they'll only consider you on the basis of your ATAR. However, if you do early entry, they can consider you on your different individual subject marks, so definitely look at that as a path. But Erin, this is specifically for you. It's generally speaking, the thing they'll look at is your ATAR. The faculty can consider your individual subject marks. So you may want to look at, if you are thinking of then getting into a nursing or science and your ATAR's not high enough, look at a pathway. So we have courses at the UOW College for you to be the University Entrance Certificate as a pathway into university. That's something for all of you studying your HSC now or into the future. If you don't get the ATAR you need, there are pathways in. So UOW College University Entrance Certificate is a pathway into most UOW undergraduate degrees. Also, you can consider doing TAFE. If you want to do nursing, think of a certificate for nursing at TAFE. Because that'll also then allow you to work as a nurse, determine if that's what you want to do, and then apply for further study at university to do a bachelor's degree and become a registered nurse. So yeah, they're kind of the two pathways that you could try and follow.
Yes, there's always so many options, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Like it's not, there's not sort of one path to any one thing. I'll read Laura, who in January this year did the Arts 101 or 001's course where she gained 6 credit points. So she's asking, how do you transfer these points when she begins in March? I guess the best answer is that will be done for you, Laura. So if you do get a place at the University of Wollongong, the 6 credit points, we've got your details, so that would have been through Kylie's team. They've got your details, so essentially they will apply that for you. You won't have to really sort of make an application to get those 6 credit points moved over. That will be done for you. The next ones are, what qualities are we looking for in early entry, and can you choose your majors for early admission? I'll answer the second one first. Can you choose your majors for early admission? Usually what will happen, say if it's a Bachelor of Commerce, say that you're applying for, there's lots of different majors within commerce, like management, etc., etc. What they'll do, they'll interview you for the Bachelor of Commerce, and you've probably got a good idea in your head of what you want to major in, but you won't have to declare that as part of your early admission course. When you look in the early admission website or in the brochure, we do list all the different majors in there, but you'll see that the UAC code is exactly the same for all the different majors. So we're really looking at the degree first, and then if you gain entry, you will make you an offer into the Bachelor of Commerce, and we'll leave it up for you to choose your major or majors once you start your degree. We don't expect you to know this early in the game. And as far as the first part, what other qualities are we looking for? I guess it comes down to that volunteer work, that communication skills, leadership skills, all that sort of stuff that we were talking about before, because I guess we want to get the right kids into the right degree, and so we want students who can communicate and contribute to our community as well. That's what our program.
But in terms of getting accepted into a degree, that would not be...
For the early admission, it would certainly go a long way. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the early admission will make the students the offer before we even know what their ATAR is.
Okay.
So we look at the subjects that they've done so far, so in 10, 11, 12, and we want to see a good idea of consistency throughout there, and achievement throughout there. So you don't need to be really nailing every single subject. We just want to see that you're working, consistently hard or improving. So I speak to a lot of students who are worried about their year 10 marks because they're not that great, which is fine, but we want to see that they've improved sort of leading up to year 12. And then so we'll look at that because we know that, say, engineering, for example, students who are excellent at maths, really good at physics and engineering, not so great at English, and that might pull their ATAR down. So that's why we offer this sort of program, so that those students who would clearly excel in an engineering degree can come in. So I guess extra stuff like the community work that you've done, any skills that you've got along the way, that's the sort of thing you should put into your application, because the academics are the one assessing all the applications, and they'll be the one interviewing you. So they want to see that you're on that path. There's certainly a place at university for students who are getting 100% in their courses and get an ATAR of 99.95. But the majority of students, I'm sure you'd agree, aren't those students. And we really want to support those consistent students who are going really well, trying really hard, but also are involved in lots of different things. That's what this program's all about. So I hope that answers your question for you. But applications for early admissions don't open until the 1st of August, so you've got quite a bit of time, to get your head around it. And also part of your application is you can start your application, at 9 a.m. on the 1st of August, and you've got till 5 p.m. on the 29th of August to do your application. But you can start and then stop halfway through, save it, and we'll email you a password so that you can come back later and keep going with your application. So it can be the best it can be. And there's a CV component to your application, so that's where you can add any community and volunteer work and things like that, because the faculty are very much interested in that.
And information on that is up on our Future Students website already, or you can call our uni advice team and we can send stuff out to you, or email it to you, or however you want it.
Mm-hmm. So Brooklyn, she's also a student in the same circumstance as Freya Rose. I'm just looking. She's interested in wine science and looking at what subjects she should be doing or what courses we should do. We don't offer a course in wine science. I know other universities, I think Charles Sturt University perhaps does.
Yeah.
And you've said besides biology as well, so because I would have gone straight to biology.
I think maybe chemistry would be something, because you'd be looking at how the chemical reactions turn grapes into wine, but I would say that would probably be the best. Maybe a business related subject, because obviously part of that process is learning how to market and sell your wine, so maybe something in that field would be of interest as well. And
some universities I know do agriculture and agribusiness as well.
I guess the best thing to do would be to log on to the or go to the UAC website, so it's just uac.edu.au. They have a course database of all the courses offered for universities throughout New South Wales. You can type in wine science or just wide and see what comes up and what offers courses. If not, try agriculture or something like that and see what comes up and what universities offer those courses that you want to do.
And something you can do that I have spoken to students before, you know what your end game is, you want to work in wine science. So have a look in different industry journals and places that advertise the jobs. So you'll see the job that you want, and then because it will also list the criteria that they're after, so you can sort of work your way back and say, right, I need to have skills in X, Y, Z. Would you agree, Mick?
I would, and I'd also suggest that if you can find anyone who's doing that sort of a job, go and talk to them and ask them what sort of qualifications they would recommend and what advice they've got. Sometimes you might think, well, I don't know anyone working in viticulture or making in wine science, but you might be amazed once you start asking around who knows someone. Go to a vineyard and say, who would I contact who does? You just might be amazed. And once you can get a hold of that first person to talk to, they can tell you other people to talk to as well. We call it information interviewing, and I just think it's really, really, really useful.
Yeah, definitely. And also things like they'll tell you what's great about their job, but they'll also tell you what's not so great about, which is just as important. You need to know. Yeah, very much.
But they can also tell you how they cope with what they don't like about it.
Yeah.
So it gives you more of an idea. And what advice they might have and how to go about it.
So good luck, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And May is interested in animation, but not so much computer science. And I'll get you the answer.
Yeah, sure.
So is there an art-based or graphic design course that she can study animation through, and what would be the requirements?
We do definitely offer a Bachelor of Computer Science in a Bachelor of Creative Arts in graphic design through our School of Creative Arts. I would say that that's probably the path you want to go down. However, if you want to get it specifically in animation, we do offer a double degree in the Bachelor of Computer Science and Bachelor of Creative Arts Graphic Design. So that's generally what students do who want to get into animation. So maybe you want to just look at going into the creative arts side of things if you're not comfortable with computer science and that's not where you want to go. But I think maybe speak to some people, like we said before, who do animation jobs and see what degrees and qualifications they have, because that'll give you a good idea of what you need to do if that's where you want to go.
Yeah, definitely. And you might have computer science will be very different to what you're imagining it, perhaps. So do go and do your research and talk to people who have done that degree to see what they've
just along there. Can I just show you My Future? You've probably heard about it at school or wherever, but I think it's a fantastic website for researching what's actually involved in an occupation and for the job potentials and what you might get paid, all of those sort of things. And I think it's just a really good place to start researching often. In what's involved.
Definitely. So I think that's a big theme to do the research. And for those of you in year 10 which I think most of you might be in year 10, to start now doing the research, and because it can take such a stress off as well. And I think as well, you might start that journey finding out what degree you want and get to the point where you find out you've changed your mind, you don't want to do that course or job or anymore, which is I think just as important as working out what you do want to do. So definitely start on that journey soon. And I think that's the end of the questions, but if anyone does have a question, make sure you do ask. I was going to say though, Darren, if you wanted to talk about, we've been talking about a lot about applying for jobs and that sort of stuff. Darren's just, I guess, in the midst of applying for graduate positions now that he's graduated from law. So I guess, do you want to talk about what a graduate position is and what that means?
Yeah,
sure. And the process that we've got about 15 minutes.
So graduate positions are basically where government departments and agencies or corporations in the corporate sector, they tend to be larger ones, but some medium and smaller corporations do offer graduate programs. It's essentially where you can try out, it's for people who have just finished university within the last, say, usually 2 or 3 years, and you can try out working there. You generally rotate in different departments within the organisation, and then afterwards you get placed in a job in a particular area within that organisation that you've already done before in one of your rotations. And it's basically a way for these departments, for you to get a feel of them, for you to get a broad knowledge of what they do before you then go on and hopefully work for them for a long time. So the process is quite involved, and that's something that if you are looking for these kind of structured graduate programs after you finish, so I'm looking for government jobs in a lot of government agencies, you need to get in early and plan and go to the career services. So all through my final year of university, we were speaking about the faculty careers consultants that we have here. I went to all of the workshops that they offered on resumes and interviews, and there was one even offered on graduate jobs, and it was a great source of information. You got to ask questions, and I think that's one of the great things about our university is that we offer that for free for all students, and also after you graduate as well. So I graduated last year and I still have access to these things. But essentially it's a really involved process that you have to plan for. You have to look, there's maybe 50 to 100 firms that offer them, so you have to kind of sift through and do your research about where you want to go and read about what the agency or the corporation's about, and then you have a range of applications that you have to make, and then tests that you do, and then you go for assessments and interviews. And one of the things is that it's very competitive. So there are a couple of thousand people applying for each job, so you have to really plan ahead, and that's one of the good things or one of the things you'll learn kind of towards the end of your degree. You do need to plan for what you want to go into if you're looking at these programs. And it's something that you guys are all doing now. You're planning about what you want to do when you're at university, but I guess, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I started university, and it's only towards when I got to the end that this is where I knew I wanted to go to. So don't stress if you don't have this plan. I definitely didn't when I was in year 12. I didn't know that I'd be sitting here today doing a live chat and applying for grad jobs and, going down to Canberra and different places. So
because what was one of them, and you don't have to say the name of the agency, what was it, 5,000 applications, got it down to 45?
Yeah, that's right. So one of the places I applied for did have 5,900 applicants, probably for less than 50 jobs. So that's kind of what you're looking at. That was the very steep end. Of others only had a couple of hundred. But again, it's very competitive, particularly in this field. And the best thing you can do to yourself is try as many things you can when you're at university. So I went on exchange and I did internships that I still do to this day, and that really helps because it builds your confidence, it builds your skills, it builds the qualities that you have. You also have stuff to talk about when you're sitting in an interview. It's not awkward, because sometimes you think, I don't really know, but if you just talk about the things you've done, generally speaking, you can pick something out that they want. And so plan early, plan during your degree, just do as many things as you can, and that'll kind of, it'll lead to where it's meant to lead, or where kind of you end up. You'll realise that it was always building towards where you're going. So and we offer all that sort of stuff as far as the workshops that Darren was talking about, and we're quite well renowned now, aren't we, as far as offering those skills and having really employable graduates around the world.
So University of Wollongong is one of the 5-star credits for having. I was just writing it down before. So 5 stars in getting a job, graduate starting salaries, and positive graduate outcomes. And I think the reason that most people are studying is because they're wanting to get a job. And I think if you can have that confidence that the university's got a good name and that there is a real focus on the university, that's where they're wanting to help you get to, which I think UOW absolutely does.
Definitely,
then that's one of the things that really, supports you in your decision making. But I think what you were talking about before, Darren, too, when you were saying how competitive graduate programs are, I think it's really important to remember that's not the only option.
Yes.
That there are lots and lots and lots of other jobs for graduates. And one of the things that the University of Wollongong, well, all universities do, is that they do a survey of all graduates 4 months after they've left. And then in that survey, they've asked them what sort of a job they've found and with what employer. And one of the things that can help you think what sort of jobs could I go for with my degree, there's on the Careers Central website, it's called Where Grads Go.
Yep.
And if you look at that, that tells you, so I've done a degree in arts and my major is in sociology. What are the other students who have gone through the years before me, what jobs have they got and what's it called? And it gives you the name, the job title, because often you don't know what the title is. What do I even look for? So it just gives you some ideas around that as well.
Yeah, that's a great tool. I guess it's a bit like LinkedIn perhaps as well.
Yes.
You could, that same sort of thing.
Yes.
We have University of Wollongong has a LinkedIn page too that you can go to and do that same sort of thing. But I would say doing your survey, you've probably got a lot more.
It's not our survey. It's all universities. All universities, and then they send to UOW, to University of Wollongong. And I think the other thing that you really exemplify too is that while you're studying, make sure that, from the get-go, there are things that you can do, get involved with university life, get involved with extracurricular. If it's studying abroad, fantastic. If it's around doing internships, there are subjects that there are courses that you do that have internships as part of it.
Yep.
But there are also degrees that you do that don't. But there is now CRLP, Career Ready Learning and Practice, which is a program that we've set up that has an internship in it, because we're just such a belief that if you can get experience as a, work integrated experience, that's just going to totally enhance your job opportunities at the end of it.
And we were talking about before, you could be the student who gets straight HDs and be the smartest guy in the room, but if you can't communicate with someone, that's a very big disadvantage, I suppose, as far as being work ready and going into that sort of thing. So that's why.
So there's all those things that you can do to be work ready.
Yeah.
When you leave, so an employer can see, I'm seriously interested in being in this profession.
Yep.
And I'm taking my career seriously and my life seriously.
Yeah. And it is good to do that sort of thing, and we'd all agree that even an office can be a really complicated place to operate. So that's why it's important to go to those workshops and learn how to sort of work in an office and things like dress codes, all that sort of stuff. So is that something that you...
We talk about it when you go in terms of even interviews and assessment centres, what would you wear?
And that was one of the great things I found about going to these career services at the university, was that it kind of taught you how to talk to people who they have networking events here, Networking After 5, and it teaches you how to talk to people who, work at higher levels in businesses and organisations around in the community, and it builds your confidence in being able to do that and approach people and talk to them and be in a weird situation like an interview, which is sometimes awkward and a different situation to what you normally will, and actually just communicate with people. And so getting that experience while you're studying is awesome, because it makes it so much easier when you go through later on.
So just going through down here, because there's no more questions at the moment. But I guess as far as how to find the information is a big one. So we've spoken a lot about the websites.
So there's our website that has a lot of useful information. The university website.
In
terms of course information.
Yeah.
And there, in terms of looking for grad jobs, there's UniGrad, Grad Connections, grad opportunities. They've all got some really good advice and information. But that's really, I think the thing to remember when you are studying is, the grad jobs, you have to apply for them at the beginning of your last year.
Yeah. So I've started applying for jobs in February. And then kind of the process goes all the way to June or July, and then you'll find out a little bit later in the year, and you start the next February or the next January. So, you have to apply a lot earlier than you would be starting your job. So,
and if you were going to go for the vacation work, for the summer, you have to apply the year before that even. So that's in your second year. So really, first year is about getting settled, getting to know a little bit about the uni and getting your confidence studying. The second year, start to branch out a little bit more, because by then you're of use to an employer. You know, that's a good time to start getting internship or holiday work or something related.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And also, as far as career service, will be at our open day, and our open day is on the 16th of August, Saturday, 16th of August. So if you do have any more questions for the careers service, you can come on that day and ask. So the careers service isn't a careers counselling service for school students or future students. It's a service once you're an enrolled student. But certainly if you do have questions, open day is a great opportunity to come along and ask any questions on that day.
And you guys will be there.
We'll be there. Yeah. And we're here if you ever want to call us and ask us questions about the university or different career paths from the degrees that we offer.
Yeah, definitely. And we've all been there as well. I was a Year 10 student who didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm sure these two were...
I started on the wrong degree.
Did you? There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you always really focused on law? Was that always your thing?
Yeah, I was kind of lucky that I knew I wanted to do law when I was in high school, but I know a lot of my friends didn't, and they've changed throughout university and now love what they're doing, and they kind of graduated a little bit earlier than me because law's a long degree and they're loving their jobs. And so it's great, and I guess that's one of the things that university does. It's flexible. It allows you to have a range of opportunities and then go out into the workforce and apply those in practice.
Yeah. And it doesn't end there. It doesn't end, like we said, once you're into university, all the doors literally open up for you. So you can choose, where you want to go. And if you are in the wrong degree, like Mika was saying, you can change. Or I guess I loved my degree. I graduated, but my job is now, I had a very different version of events in my head. But I love what I do, and I consider myself really lucky that I found that. So I guess, don't be too hard on yourself if you don't know what you want to do, or, because you'll eventually, you will find what you want to do. So don't worry about it.
And I think that big thing around that is, I don't know what I want to do. Realise that you're not the only one by a long shot.
No.
Most people don't know what they want to do because there's so much out there that you don't even know what's out there.
Yep.
So how do you find out about it?
So really important, like we said, do your research, find out what you want to do.
Find out who you are, what you like, what you're interested in. Ask other people what they notice about you that you're good at.
Yes.
And then, just take on board that and be thinking, well, what sort of jobs would I really like to do? Because if you try and put a job title on it right now, that job might not exist. No. So it's about what do I really love to do and what degree can I do that's around that. And then those skills that you learn in that, you're going to use. I really am firmly of the belief that nothing is wasted.
No.
Very true.
Yeah.
In life, but you want to study. There's a sense once you're studying a degree, if you know sort of what you're going to do with it, you can then feel okay about the subjects that you have to do because you have to do them.
Yes, and there will be some of those subjects as well that you have to. Like maths seems to be a big one, but I think, I think it is important, and it is important to do things that you don't, that you don't necessarily enjoy. But like we say, do what you're passionate about. But there will always be those things that sort of even you out.
Yeah.
Keep your feet on the ground a bit. As well. So I guess, Gilman, we've got 2 minutes left. So to put you both on the spot, I'll start with you, Mika. The one piece of advice, I guess, as far as someone who's looking for a job.
Yeah. My biggest piece of advice is information interviewing. It's talking to someone who's doing the sort of job you think you might like to do so that you can get much more of an idea of what the job actually involves and whether it suits you or not. Yeah.
What about you?
I would say in terms of picking your year 11 and 12 subjects and also then picking which degree to go into, definitely do what you're passionate about, because it will mean that you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never be dissatisfied, and the rest will kind of come. The more opportunities you take, the more you're doing what you like, the more opportunities will present themselves, and it'll kind of snowball from there, and it'll go all towards one direction, and you'll end up in a job that you love. So
yes, yeah. So that would be mine was almost saying, do what you love, because it does become a self-fulfilling prophecy, but also look out for mentors, people that you admire, that you meet in the workplace, teachers as well, but yeah, and get to know them and ask them for advice, and they can help you sort of maneuver throughout your career, because I love what I do and I really feel that I'm the product of that.
I guess the one other thing I'll add is ask questions. So you can call uni advice, you can speak to your careers advisors, you can go and see people who have the careers that you think you want to get into and just talk to them, because they have the information, and all you need to do is ask.
Yes, definitely.
Most people will want to help you.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. And it is just as important to find out what you don't like as what it is.
Yeah.
Definitely. So guys, we're just about to hit 5 o'clock, so thanks to you for logging in, and if you do have any more questions, you can always call us, and the best phone number for the University of Wollongong is 1300 367 869, and then from that whoever answers the phone will most likely be able to answer you straight
Yep.
away, or they'll direct you to wherever you need to go.
That's right.
You can also email us, and the email address is UniAdvice. So UniAdvice, which you can see on the chat log there, uniadvice@uow.edu.au. I think Nico's typing that. Oh yes, so to be typed up. Or you can also chat to us on Facebook, and Darren and I look after the Facebook page a lot, so we can have that conversation online. So thanks very much for joining us. Did either of you have anything more to add before we log off?
Good luck.
Yeah,
Yes,
good luck.
Best of luck.
And
we
it's
will be
fantastic
doing.
you're thinking of going to uni.
Yes,
I think
it's a
fantastic.
great choice. And we hope to see you here in a couple of years' time, if not next year. So thanks very much.